meaning sharing is caring. Justin?
Awesome. Start. I go on angle 6 my name is Justin Warner. I'm an excited guy from the Air Force. Just recently busted out the private sector and loving life. You can pretty much echo what Will said. I'm a red teamer, integration test for Verisk group. A really good gig there, doing lots of fun things, long-term engagements and other things. I have one non-nerd hobby. I'm a volunteer EMT in Fairfax County. I try to mix it up a little bit, but that's about it. Everything else is action. So I do a lot of CCDC, and defense exercise type of events on the side. And this talk was partially inspired by that, partially inspired by starting my new job. And what I've seen over the past couple of years doing these events is a massive move towards collaboration. 4 years ago when I was doing these events as a red teamer, blue teamer, it was a lot of hoarding shells and always having to go through one guy to get the information. And no one wanted to share, and everyone would just go sit in the closet and work by themselves. And it wasn't quite fun in the red team room. As this has changed, it's been a lot better. Everyone actually uses tools and tradecraft that actually work together. Things like Grady's Pro, Cobalt Strike, Metasploit Pro, they allow for that team-based collaboration. The one area I still see that doesn't exist is scanning. You still see people use Nmap on their own box with save the data local. There's no make it popular framework that's using these exercises that allow for them to share this data, query it easily, and do it in such a way that's distributed. This is what I think of nerd collaboration. Still see it like this. This is exactly how it looks in the rooms. So distributed scanning is nothing new. It's been around since I can see the late 90s from everything I was able to research. It's basically the idea of using like a botnet style architecture to do your scanning. Some of the earliest things I could find is something like RNmap, the really sexy old school GUI that allows you to do this. It was written in Python. Various POCs dropped on the internet after that, and then DNmap in 2009 came out by Shmoocon Garcia, and it has a really good working proof of concept that I use for the back end of my framework. Most vulnerability scanners, Nessus, and other things do this as well. They have some sort of distributed component that allows it. And there's multiple benefits here. Obviously, it depends on your situation, whether you're doing penetration testing, or red teaming, or wall scanning, but they're all up there. It's not a silver bullet. IDSs do have distributed scanning rules if they're enabled, and if they're tuned properly. Obviously, that's a big thing. It has to go to the detective. So DNmap, a little more on that. It was developed by Shmoocon Garcia, and it's a really awesome working proof of concept. I stumbled upon it and kind of dove in on the code. There's a lot of to-dos he had in the headers, that things that he wanted to work on that weren't public, and so that kind of guided my inspiration. I was like, man, I should jump on this and work with it. It was already using SSL for encryption. It works with Python and Twisted. And things that didn't work for me particularly were there was no .nmap output that was used. .nmap was the only thing that would return. And so we use tools like Eyewitness or even Tom to do a lot of our penetration testing and automation scanning for the web that uses a GNmap output. And so this tool wasn't giving us what we needed to do that. There was also no client authentication, so if you had a server up on the internet, this is the diagram of how it works. Pretty simple. Bots go out to server, you submit scans, it submits it out. All command line and built in. So like I was saying, there's no client authentication. So if you had a server out on the internet and you had some really frisky incident responders that wanted to come find you and they just located your scanning server, it was as easy as OpenSSL client connecting to your server, recognizing its DNmap and issuing the right commands, and just watching them dump all the scans that you had queued up. And that's no good. I mean, I've been actively queried by incident responders in several engagements now where they actually come find our staging servers or come find our web servers, and when they steal all your data, it's no fun. Big black eye for the red team. And so one of the first things I wanted to fix and kind of improve upon, which DNmap highlighted as something that needed to be done, was to implement that client authentication. So I started to tiptoe into it. Basically what I wanted was a distributed team interface scanner, synergy. I wanted everyone to work together and be happy. I wanted something really ideal. I'd be secure. I wanted to implement the client authentication. And I wanted built-in management capabilities. I didn't want to SSH out to all my nodes in the server every time we wanted to do something. Just waste of time on an engagement. Sometimes we're limited to a week or a couple days, and so it's not really where I want to use my time. So I came up with what I call minions. It's a collaborative distributed scanning. I call it proof of concept. It's a work in progress. I by no means am a professional software engineer or developer. And so really wanted to make this a team project where we could use for everybody to get involved. The Django backend, I found that useful because it's really simple to proof of concept. Python, I knew Python pretty well. I'm not a Ruby guy, and so I didn't dive into Ruby on Rails or some of the more evolved languages. It uses a DMAP, a modified version on the backend for the distributed scanning, and it has a bootstrap jQuery front end, pretty much default bootstrap, nothing fancy, but I found it really good because it was responsive and worked well for mobile. And so I've actually sat in a bar to pop up my iPhone and gone off my minion server to send off scans and do work all from the comfort of the bar. Some of the features that I implemented, I was able to execute scan jobs, per se. So you could schedule them, no more coming in at late nights to do your pen test and kick off scans because the client customer environment would be affected. You just schedule it, uses app jobs on the back end to kick them off. You can create scan profiles. A scan profile is basically the idea of something you always do. So in-map command line has some pretty elaborate options, and having to copy paste the same thing over and over again, or type out the whole thing over and over again, it was boring to me. And so I implemented this thing called scan profiles, where you can create them and save them off. And when you actually go to create your scan job, which you'll see in the demo, like you could pretty quick here, you can just take it off and go. And you can download all different scan outputs, which is one of the main features. This is hardly Pythonic. I'm, like I said, I'm not a software engineer. But I added the ability to pull for those in-map output files and bring them into SQLite database backend, and added the client authentication, as I already said. Some pretty interesting use cases that I thought of. So external penetration tests. Obviously, there's things like mass scan or ZMAP that are really good. But this could also be used when you're distributing your scan jobs. It makes things a lot faster, more efficient. And you come from a whole bunch of different locations. Internal penetration tests, you can make your designated scan person, aka the new guy. You can make them run the scan server and use all the client or use all the engagement laptops. And so you can split up your scan and get a lot done. External red teams, this is actually why I created it. High attribution, have 100 different scanning nodes across the world in different countries, so that the IDSs and the network defenders don't really see where it's coming from all the nodes. Internal red teams, same kind of thing. You can compromise internal Linux servers, throw up your the client script and nmap, and now you're turning your infrastructure into your scan bots. Some extra fun things. Kim Weston already an article about using DMAP and doing the Linode stuff, and so I actually wrote a stash script on Linode to automatically download it and start the scan bots, and so I could use the API with Python, kick out 100 scanning nodes and immediately pop back my bot, which is awesome, and it would look like this. So you have this crazy in-depth interface, full scan node, ready for fun. So I'm going to try to break out here and get to the demo. And so basically what we have here is the three windows. The left window is going to be our DMAP server, just after I did the install script. The IPs there. These are internal IPs, obviously for demo's sake. I did it with a couple games. The upper right window and the bottom right window are going to be the DMAP clients. You can see their IPs. I've already downloaded the code and it's sitting there ready to run. Normally you don't have to be SSH'd out. This is the purpose of the demo. I want you guys to be able to see what it looks like if you're actually watching the command line output. This is the tool. When it comes installed fresh off the install script, it has a default password, so you want to log in, go access the Django interface. I left the Django default admin interface. I wanted people to have the raw access to the data on the back end. They don't want to hide anything. This is a hacking tool. Hackers like to have all access to data. And so didn't do any major changes, also a proof of concept. So go ahead and change your password. That's the first thing you do. Fill in instant responders win. And I failed, so. And so once that's done, you're going to come back out to the main maintenance area. The first part I'm going to show you is the server control. So in the server control, this is the area that you do all the back and DMAP stuff. So this is where all the buttons to clear all the output, clean up everything, start and stop your server. It's pretty much everything you would need to do to get up and running. There are different permission levels, so admins have access to all these buttons. Not admins don't. So maybe you don't want your new guy going out and clearing all your data from the whole year and hasn't been backed up. So I went and started the server there, and I'm going to connect with the clients just by doing the Python command line. You can see it's a Python script. It does have some installed dependencies, and that being the most obvious, and it takes on pretty easily here. Now once these are connected up, you'll see that you don't have to sit in this SSH interface, as I said. You're going to go back into the admin area, and you should see a pretty simple interface between these clients. Just so you know I'm not lying, that they're actually connected. I'll do that for you. Yay. So here they are. So you can see that minions 1 and minions 2 is connected there. They are nodes running in metric. And you can see some information. Obviously, there's verbose logging, so it tells you the IPs they connected from in case you ever have a client ask you questions on it. And you can see that we're going to go on to the run scan area. So in this area is where you actually create your scans, pretty simple default Django form. And then these are scan profiles. So these are the things I was telling you about the different command lines. So the profiles, like I said, are the different command line options. You can create a new profile. So we're actually going to create a profile today for web scanning. I'm going to do a really simple version scan on 480 just to demonstrate the profile use. And they save. So if you have your crazy wicked command line options, just save them all and use them next time. So we're going to do a scan of a web server I had running out called EFM Web. And it should be just a simple web like Apache server that we're going to scan. You can see that the time there is always set to instant. So these scans are set to go off immediately. If you were to change the time there, that's when it would recognize that you wanted to schedule a scan job and actually do it on the back end for you. And so I created one that was going to go off instantaneously, and then I created a second that's going to be scheduled for you to see. So you can see in the bottom right, the schedule job is sitting waiting there, ready to be run. And in the log here, you can actually see that the first scan that kicked off immediately went out to the node and finished. So this is what the output looks like. By default, you can see the nmap command line output, and then you can see some of the metadata that I pull out and tag and parse into SQL. You're also able to download a zip of all the different output formats. It packages them up for you on the fly. And there you go. So you have all the outputs ready for you to use. You can also link scan in case you don't want that. Maybe you screwed up or you just don't want people seeing you scan it. So we can come back to server control. We're going to still see that the scheduled job is waiting. Nothing more going on there. It hasn't hit the time yet. So we're going to run 2 more scans here, so you can kind of see the whole multi-node thing in use. So we're going to run a nice slow scan. It's going to be like a 65,000 port scan, full thing. And we're going to run a faster scan, like a top 1,000 ports. And what you're going to see when we come back to the control area is you're going to see both clients are going to get these executed scans, and they're going to be running in parallel. And so if you had lots of scan jobs, lots of clients to do, you could distribute the scans out to different nodes and do them all at one time using the same infrastructure. You can see the pending jobs is holding that one that hasn't been out to the client yet, so you actually watch it get picked up and go out. Now they're both executing. Now let's say a client dies, because that never happens. We can actually kill a client here in a second. And you saw the results come back. Sorry, a lot over. So the fast results came back, same thing you've already seen. Now let's say that a client dies. So we're going to go ahead and kill this client down here, and you'll see that the scan that was at that client is repopulated into the scan list. So I did build in some amount of redundancy. Obviously, the plan is to leave these nodes up on the internet for a long period of time and not have to sit and maintain them. And so I built redundancy on both the client and server side. If the client dies, the scan's repopulated in and it gets picked up by the next available node. And if the server dies, which I'll kill here in a second, you'll see that the scan that was currently ongoing is repopulated in and will get picked up whenever the server reconnects. By default, when these die, the clients will attempt to call back every 10 seconds. So they'll sit and beacon and come back until you start the server and get it back up. So you should see here if the clients connect back in. Awesome. And so that demonstrates the different redundancy options that are available. And that's about it on the demo. That covers it. It's not a huge tool. It's meant to automate and make things a little bit easier for these long-term scan operations for red teams that do this against different clients. So here's my contact information. I go by 6 on Twitter and GitHub. The code is already out there. And my blog has a post kind of detailing everything I just talked about in written form in case you fell asleep. And then I also hang out on Freenode on the Vail Armitage channels and Vail Developer, and I can get up there anytime. Some references, if you guys pull slides down after the line, they're on SlideShare, kind of where I got some of the information. And that's it. So you don't have any questions?
Hold that slide back up.
Oh, yeah. The contact slide or references?
References.
So the top link there is the Ken Weston article. It's awesome. It was one of the cool things, right? The RadarSec blog just has a detailing of what KMAP is and the diagram and stuff like that.
Thanks.
Good question.
Sure, go.
How many
So I load tested it with 100, and it was easily doable and had no problem. As many as your server could handle, I guess would be the answer.
So have you thought about automating, you set up a scan, automating the scan, you set up a way to just dump it to like a file share or to disk, so that maybe it can be picked up by something else. So I'm more defensive. I want to help you automate my network scan, load this of assets every week, every day, and then have something pick up the file to automate it to something else, maybe a report.
Sure. So the scans are all stored on the server in the raw like scan output formats. And so it wouldn't be hard to do some sort of automation on that server, like an ad job or something, to pass it over SMB or to figure it all out thinking about SSH. I haven't opened it into the client now. I'm open to suggestions, so I'd love ideas if you submit them on GitHub or email me or chat with me. But yeah, I'm glad to see that as used on the defensive side as well.
So kind of related to that is a comment that for the defensive side, along with the engagement, being able to see diffs from one scheduled scan to the next for a change over time.
Sure.
And another question I had is, do you have anything or have you thought of anything for when privilege escalation is required for scans that require raw sockets or otherwise either pseudo and that kind of things?
Sure, yeah. The DMAP actually has built in the detection to see if the things that if the client's running as root, and it will a lot of times will error out if it's not running as root. It kind of expects your clients to be running as root. Reason being, these clients on the offensive side a lot of times just throw away. Like I'll spin these up for an engagement, do my scans, and they can just be taken down. So I know you're paying on that type of things. And so I don't have that built in. It was something if you worked in the DMAP, I think pretty easily. You just have to recognize what the scan profile is.
I was wondering, I don't work defining like how the arguments pass or they escape. Can you send inside or variable?
Sure. So the scan when you run it, the host box I'm basically referring to how you do it. So it can do column or line separated, and it can do any format that Nmap accepts. So it's actually passed as a raw Nmap command line via the DMAP protocol. I did a little internal bug bounty in my team, hopefully try to find anything obvious, but it's all properly escaped out and checked, the inputs checked, it strips it on the client side to make sure that nothing bad goes wrong.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like this, some scans require root, so it would.
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, it does have a whole bunch of input filtering with Django. I do like regex matching on the host, and it actually like the regex matching restricts it sometimes too much. If you have international domain names, Fern pointed out that if you have international domain names, use Unicode characters, like our regex won't like it, kick it back. But it does both client and server side when it gets to the host and before.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Oh. Sure.
So if you have custom Nmap scripts, is there a way to automatically upload to your servers, or am I going to have to connect all 100 of my servers?
Yeah, so the Nmap's done on the client, so if you had like NSC scripts, I played with this a little bit, you would actually have to make sure they get downloaded during the install of the client. So that's why I prefer to use like stack scripts on mine or some type of automated method of installing the client. You could build it into like the shell script I have, but they have to be on all the clients because you don't know what node is going to pick up your scan at that current moment. So NSC scripts are kind of buggy with this just because of that matter.
Are you running into any problems with latency or congestion distributing these?
So when I did the 100 nodes, I was doing some scanning around like VMs I had on the internet. I didn't actually kick off like during the load testing with like class Bs or anything, you know, in the definition of what's legal in the scanning world. But we've used some engagements, and you know, I've tested with customer environments, and I never noticed any latency issues on my side. It takes the same as if you're running an Nmap that's broken out. I mean, it's not doing anything super fancy beyond just distributing the Nmap scans.
If you have a large range of things to scan, is it possible for the system to actually split that up among different?
That was the one feature I wasn't able to get in before this con. I actually wanted to do that. That was the next thing on the list to integrate is actually, you know, building a checkbox to allow you to automatically break up the scans and combine scan results. I'm hoping that would be the next big feature I come up with, and they continue to develop this application. So at the time, no, you would have to use a tool of your own to break up the scan and post list and put it into multiple scans, which is definitely not ideal. But that's kind of the future where I see this going for the next few steps.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Sorry, the question was, he asked if the scans could be automatically broken up. So if you're scanning in Class B, could the tool automatically break that up into multiple scans for the nodes to break out? So automatic would be, you know, automated efficiency. Right now, it does not do that.
You got
Okay,
one
one
way
more
in the
question.
corner.
One more question.
Way in the corner. All the way in the
So, can you take a range and I guess either round robin or somehow randomly split it up between nodes?
Yeah, like I said, at this time, there's no breaking up of the scans. I'm sorry, the question was, so the question was, could you round robin or break up the scans to different nodes? Is that correct? Okay, yeah, so at the time, there's no breaking up of the scans automatically. It's done by you, and it's automatically goes off to a node, so you don't get to like select, you don't get to let it bounce around the different nodes. Again, that would be something in the future, obviously, that would be good for like a red team situation externally, where you're trying to make it look like it's in different places. At this time, it seems easy. Thank you, and
DA? So I was watching